The Galactic Council of Sciences had never been this quiet. In the vast crystalline chamber that usually buzzed with the voices of 1,000 species, only the soft hum of quantum processors filled the air. On the central platform, High Administrator Vex 427 stood motionless, her crystalline form refracting the light from the emergency beacons that bathed the chamber in an ominous red glow. "The anomaly has consumed another star system," she announced, her voice modulated to maintain composure despite the gravity of the situation. "The Proxima Centauri colony is gone. 3 billion lives displaced." The assembled representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations stirred uncomfortably. The mechanoid servos whirred with increased intensity. The ethereal's plasma forms flickered with agitation. Even the usually stoic collective mind seemed to pulse with uncertainty. "This is the 17th system lost in the past solar cycle," Vex 427 continued. "Our models predict geometric progression. At this rate, the anomaly will reach the core worlds within 3 cycles." First Speaker Axiom 9, leader of the Mechanoid Empire, rolled forward. His chrome surface reflected the emergency lights like blood. "We have dedicated 87.3% of our computational arrays to analyzing the phenomenon. The quantum signatures defy our most advanced theoretical frameworks. The collective mind has merged with the computational arrays, added the shimmering consciousness cloud that represented the galaxy's most evolved species. We have processed the data through every known scientific paradigm. The anomaly operates on principles that contradict our understanding of universal constants." Vex 427's crystalline structure vibrated with frustration. The greatest minds in the galaxy, species that had mastered dark energy, built Dyson spheres, and transcended physical form, were helpless before this threat. The anomaly consumed star systems like a cosmic predator, leaving behind only cold, dead space where vibrant worlds once orbited. From the observation ring, a new voice spoke. "Have you considered consulting the humans?" The chamber's perfect silence shattered as dozens of species turned toward the speaker. Junior observer Kira 89, still in her first cycle of service, seemed to shrink under their collective gaze. Her bioluminescent patterns flickered with embarrassment, but she continued. "They're primitive by our standards, yes, but their approach to problem-solving is unique." First Speaker Axiom 9's voice crackled with what might have been derision. "The humans. They still burn fossil fuels. Half their planet lacks basic quantum connectivity. They spend more resources on entertainment than space exploration." "Precisely," Kara 89 pressed on. "They're inefficient, illogical, and their methods often seem random, but they solve problems in ways we would never consider." The collective mind pulsed skeptically. "We have analyzed human scientific achievements. Their mathematics is elementary. Their physics models are incomplete. Their technology is centuries behind the galactic standard. Yet they solve the paradox of entropic recursion." Kara 89 countered. "A human child did it while drawing pictures in class. We had been struggling with it for millennia." Vex 427 raised a crystalline appendage for silence. "Elaborate, observer." "Humans don't think like us," Kara 89 explained. "They make intuitive leaps. They find patterns in chaos. They solve problems by accident while trying to do something else entirely. Their success rate is statistically improbable, yet they keep succeeding." The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, each species arguing from their own perspective. The mechanoids cited probability calculations showing the futility of consulting such a primitive race. The ethereals worried about cultural contamination. The collective mind presented 1,000 reasons why this was illogical. Another star system went dark. The emergency beacons pulsed faster. Vex 427's voice cut through the chaos. "We have exhausted every conventional option. Our most advanced theories have failed. Our most powerful computers have found no solution." She turned her crystalline form toward the observation ring. "Observer Kira 89, you will lead a delegation to Earth. Choose your humans carefully. We have very little time." As the chamber emptied, Kira 89 remained, studying the holographic display of Earth rotating slowly before her. Humans were unpredictable, emotional, and often irrational. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what they needed right now. The fate of the galaxy would rest on humanity's strangest quality, their ability to be brilliantly wrong in exactly the right way. "Plot a course for Earth," she commanded her ship's eye, "and access all files on human problem-solving methodologies. I need to understand how they think." As her ship entered hyperspace, Kira 89 reviewed the data on human achievements. Their history was littered with accidental discoveries, incorrect theories that somehow produced correct results, and solutions that worked for reasons their scientists still didn't understand. They were about to either save the galaxy or become the greatest mistake in the history of the Galactic Council. Only time would tell which. Dr. Sarah Chen was having an ordinary Tuesday morning in her university maintenance workshop when reality decided to take a sharp left turn. She was elbow-deep in the guts of a broken HVAC system, muttering about budget cuts and duct tape, when the air in front of her workbench began to ripple like heat waves off hot asphalt. A being that looked like a cross between a crystal chandelier and a jellyfish materialized in her workshop. Sarah blinked twice, looked at her coffee cup suspiciously, then shrugged and went back to work on the HVAC unit. Dr. Sarah Chen, the crystalline entity, spoke, its voice somehow both melodious and mechanical. "I am Observer Kira 89 of the Galactic Council. We require your assistance with a matter of utmost importance." "Hold that thought," Sarah replied, not looking up. "I've almost got this compressor unit figured out. Could you hand me that wrench?" The alien's bioluminescent patterns flickered in what might have been confusion. Nevertheless, it levitated the requested tool and passed it to her. "Thanks," Sarah said, making one final adjustment. The HVAC unit hummed to life. "Now, what's this about a Galactic Council?" Across campus, in the quantum physics department, Dr. James Rodriguez was giving his graduate students a lecture on wave function collapse when Kira 89 appeared in his classroom. Unlike Sarah, he dropped his whiteboard marker in surprise. "Class dismissed," he managed to say, watching as his students practically trampled each other in their excitement to tell the world about the alien in room 305. After explaining the situation to both scientists separately, Kira 89 brought them together in Sarah's workshop. The alien's crystalline form vibrated with what might have been anxiety as the two humans absorbed the information about the galaxy-threatening anomaly. "Let me get this straight," Sarah said, absently twirling a screwdriver. "You've got some kind of space phenomenon eating star systems. Your super-advanced alien civilizations can't figure it out, and you want our help." "Correct," Kira 89 confirmed. "Your species has a unique approach to problem-solving that may provide insights our conventional methods have failed to generate." James was already scribbling equations on a spare piece of cardboard he found. "The quantum signatures you described, they're fascinating. They seem to violate every known law of physics." "Exactly," Kira 89 said. "Our most advanced computational systems cannot make sense of the data." Sarah walked over to James's cardboard equations, squinting at them. "Reminds me of the vibration patterns I see in faulty ventilation systems. You know when the resonance is off." James stopped writing mid-equation. "Wait, what did you say?" "You know, like when you've got air flowing through a duct system and the vibrations start amplifying each other. Had a case last month where the whole building was shaking because of a tiny misalignment in the basement." Kira 89's crystalline structure briefly flickered red. "Dr. Chen, we are discussing quantum-level anomalies capable of consuming entire star systems. How is this relevant to ventilation problems?" "Everything's relevant if you look at it right," Sarah replied, pulling out her tablet. "Here, let me show you the maintenance logs from that case." James had already started a new set of equations, this time incorporating wave harmonics. "Sarah, you're brilliant. What if we're not looking at a quantum phenomenon at all? What if it just looks quantum because of the scale?" Kara 89 watched in bewilderment as the physicist and the maintenance engineer huddled over their makeshift cardboard whiteboard, comparing ventilation system logs with complex quantum equations. Their conversation jumped from topic to topic in a way that made the aliens' logical processors strained to follow. "Remember that time the music department speakers nearly brought down the ceiling?" Sarah asked. "Resonance cascade," James nodded. "Just like the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster. But on a stellar scale, using dark energy as the medium, which would explain the power fluctuations." Kyra 89 interrupted their rapid exchange. "The Galactic Council awaits your decision. Will you help us?" Sarah looked at James. James looked at Sarah. They both grinned. "On one condition," Sarah said. "Name it," Kara 89 replied. "I'm going to need my toolbox." James raised his hand. "And I'll need a really big whiteboard. Cardboard just isn't going to cut it for this one." Kara 89's bioluminescent patterns swirled in what might have been relief or resignation. The fate of the galaxy rests in the hands of a maintenance engineer with a toolbox and a physicist who can't live without his whiteboard. "Don't forget the duct tape," Sarah added, already packing her tools. "Never know when you might need to patch up a hole in the universe." As Kira 89's ship broke orbit with its unlikely human cargo, the alien observer couldn't help but wonder if she'd made a terrible mistake. But watching Sarah meticulously organize her tools while James covered every available surface with equations, she remembered something she'd read in her research. Humans had a habit of being exactly the right kind of wrong for the job. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most complex problems require the simplest solutions, and that a roll of duct tape might just save the universe. The Galactic Council's central research facility was a marvel of advanced engineering. Quantum computers the size of buildings processed data streams from across the galaxy. Holographic displays filled the air with swirling mathematical models. Energy constructs that defied human understanding pulsed with otherworldly power. Sarah Chen took one look at it all and asked, "Can we turn everything off?" The assembled alien scientists stared at her in shock. First Speaker Axiom 9's chrome surface rippled with what might have been offense. "Turn everything off." "Just for a bit," Sarah said, already pulling diagnostic tools from her toolbox. "All this fancy equipment is probably interfering with our readings." James Rodriguez nodded, not looking up from the equations he was scrawling on his newly acquired whiteboard. Like trying to hear a whisper at a rock concert. Sometimes you need silence to hear the important stuff. "Impossible," declared the collective mind's representative, their energy form flickering agitatedly. "Our systems are perfectly calibrated. They operate on frequencies that cannot possibly interfere with." "Look," Sarah interrupted, holding up her oldest diagnostic scanner. "This thing's going crazy just being in here. And it's from 2023. Imagine what your quantum doohickeys are doing to the actual readings." Kara 89, who had been quietly observing, moved forward. Perhaps we should consider their request. Our conventional methods have failed thus far." The alien scientists erupted in protest. "Turn off the most advanced scientific equipment in the galaxy. Rely on primitive human technology. It was unthinkable." Then another star system went dark. "Do it," First Speaker Axiom 9 commanded, his mechanical voice heavy with resignation. "Power down all systems." As the facility's advanced technology went dark one system at a time, Sarah pulled out her tablet and started taking baseline readings. James continued working on his equations, occasionally muttering to himself. "Fascinating," he said suddenly. "Sarah, come look at this. The background radiation patterns." Sarah walked over, squinting at his calculations. "Reminds me of that time the university's nuclear physics lab was getting weird readings because of a faulty microwave in the break room." "Exactly," James exclaimed. "The simplest explanation is usually the correct one." Sarah finished. She turned to the aliens. "We need to see your records of when and where this anomaly first appeared." The aliens brought up a simple holographic display showing the progression of the phenomenon across the galaxy. Sarah and James studied it intently. "There's a pattern here," James said. "Look at the timing between events." Sarah was already pulling up something on her tablet. "Compare it to this." She showed him the maintenance logs from the university's problematic HVAC system. "They're almost identical." James grabbed his marker. "If we scale up the resonance patterns and account for the differences in medium, using dark energy as the carrier wave." The aliens watched in bewilderment as the two humans bounced ideas off each other, their conversation a mix of complex physics and practical maintenance experience. "It's like a massive feedback loop," Sarah explained, gesturing at her tablet. "Your advanced civilizations have been pumping more and more energy into space, creating overlapping fields of dark energy." James nodded enthusiastically. "And just like how multiple sound waves can create standing waves that shake buildings apart, your energy fields are creating standing waves in space-time itself." Sarah finished. "The anomaly isn't consuming star systems, it's shaking them apart at a quantum level." The alien scientists processed this information in stunned silence. "Impossible," the collective mind stated. "Our energy systems are perfectly contained. There can be no leakage." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "When's the last time you checked the seals?" "The seals?" "Yeah, you know, maintenance, regular checkups, safety inspections." Sarah pulled out her diagnostic scanner again. "Because according to this, you've got dark energy leaking from about a dozen different sources in this room alone." James was already adapting his equations. "If we can identify all the leak points across affected systems and patch them up properly, while dampening the existing resonance patterns." First speaker Axiom 9 interrupted their exchange. "You suggest the solution to this galaxy-threatening crisis is basic maintenance." "Sometimes the biggest problems have the simplest solutions," Sarah said, reaching into her toolbox. "Now, who's going to show me where your dark energy containment systems are? And does anybody have something stronger than duct tape? We're going to need industrial-grade sealant for this job." As Sarah began inspecting the facility's energy systems, and James calculated the precise frequencies needed to dampen the resonance patterns, Kira 89 watched with growing amazement. The humans weren't just thinking outside the box. They were questioning why the box existed in the first place. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations had been so focused on complex solutions that they'd overlooked the basics. Sometimes it took a maintenance engineer and a physicist who understood both quantum mechanics and practical problem-solving to point out the obvious. Even the most advanced technology needs regular maintenance. Sarah Chen had fixed a lot of things in her career as a maintenance engineer, but this was the first time she'd ever had to repair the fabric of space-time. She stood in the central control room of the Galactic Council's largest dark energy collection facility, surrounded by concerned alien scientists as she studied the readouts on her tablet. "The good news is we can fix this," she announced. "The bad news is we need to fix it everywhere, all at once." James Rodriguez looked up from his whiteboard, which was now covered in a complex mix of quantum mechanics and wave harmonics. "The resonance patterns are self-reinforcing. If we don't coordinate the repairs across all affected systems simultaneously, it'll be like trying to patch a boat while it's still underwater." Sarah finished. First speaker Axiom 9's chrome surface rippled with concern. "Coordinating operations across 17 star systems. Impossible. The logistics alone." "Actually," Sarah interrupted, pulling up a scheduling app on her tablet, "I do this kind of thing all the time. You should see the university's maintenance schedule during finals week." The collective mind's representative pulsed skeptically. "Managing university maintenance is hardly comparable to coordinating galaxy-wide repairs." "You'd be surprised," Sarah muttered, already creating a project timeline. "At least alien civilizations probably won't try to bribe me with coffee to fix their quantum processors first." James had moved to a second whiteboard, calculating the precise frequencies needed to dampen the resonance cascade. "The tricky part isn't the repairs themselves. It's timing them correctly. if we're off by even a fraction of a second. The standing waves could amplify instead of canceling out. Sarah nodded. Like that time, the physics department's sonic experiment shattered every window in the building. That wasn't my fault, James protested. The janitor had moved the equipment while cleaning. Sarah grinned. And what did we learn? Always check the maintenance schedule, James sighed. Kira, 89, who had been quietly observing, moved forward. We can provide instantaneous communication across all systems. Our quantum entanglement network won't work, Sarah and James said simultaneously. The network itself is part of the problem, James explained. It's contributing to the resonance patterns. We need something simpler. Sarah was already digging through her toolbox. She pulled out an old analog watch. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. We'll synchronize mechanical chronometers. No quantum entanglement, no dark energy, just good old-fashioned clockwork. The alien scientists stared at the primitive timepiece in disbelief. You propose to coordinate a galaxy-wide operation using mechanical watches. First speaker Axiom 9's voice crackled with what might have been incredulity. Yep, Sarah replied, checking the watch's accuracy. We'll need about 1,000 of them. And I'm going to need volunteers at each facility who can follow basic maintenance instructions. Anyone here know how to use a wrench? The next few hours were interesting, to say the least. Sarah found herself teaching advanced alien civilizations how to perform basic maintenance on their own technology. James worked with the facility's engineers to design dampening fields that would cancel out the resonance patterns once the leaks were sealed. Remember, Sarah instructed a group of crystalline beings. Finger tight means finger tight, even if you don't technically have fingers. Too tight is just as bad as too loose. Across the room, James was explaining wave harmonics using a cup of coffee to demonstrate. See how the ripples change when I tap the cup at different points? That's basically what's happening to your star systems, just on a much bigger scale. Finally, after what felt like the longest maintenance training session in history, they were ready. Teams were positioned at dark energy facilities across 17 star systems, each equipped with mechanical chronometers, basic tools, and carefully detailed instructions. Sarah checked her watch one last time. 60 seconds, people. Or beings. Whatever. Just be ready. James stood by the main control panel, his equations predicting either a complete resolution of the crisis or a catastrophic failure that would rip apart the fabric of space-time. You know, he said to Sarah, if we're wrong about this, we might accidentally destroy the galaxy. Sarah adjusted her tool belt. Yeah, but think about how interesting the maintenance report would be. 30 seconds. Across 17 star systems, teams of highly advanced aliens stood ready with wrenches and sealant, waiting for the signal from a human maintenance engineer's mechanical watch. 10 seconds. The existing anomalies pulsed ominously, as if sensing what was about to happen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin maintenance, Sarah ordered into the ancient radio transmitter they'd repurposed for the occasion. Across the galaxy, the most advanced civilizations in existence performed the most basic of tasks. They checked for leaks, tightened fittings, and applied sealant where needed. The coordinated action, guided by simple mechanical timepieces, created a cascade effect through space-time itself. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the readings on Sarah's tablet began to change. The resonance patterns are shifting, James announced, watching the equations on his whiteboard practically solve themselves. The standing waves are collapsing. One by one, the anomalies began to dissipate. The galaxy-wide feedback loop, maintained by thousands of tiny dark energy leaks, finally began to break down. Sarah looked at her watch again and smiled. And we finished 2 minutes ahead of schedule. Not bad for a day's maintenance work. The Galactic Council chamber looked very different from when Sarah and James had first arrived. The emergency beacons were dark, replaced by the normal crystalline glow. But the biggest change wasn't in the lighting. It was in the attitude of the assembled alien species. 2 weeks had passed since the crisis had been resolved. The anomalies had completely dissipated, the affected star systems were stabilizing, and Sarah had insisted on implementing a galaxy-wide maintenance schedule before she would even consider returning to Earth. Regular inspections, she announced to the Council, pointing to a surprisingly simple chart projected in the air. Every facility, every 3 months. No exceptions. James stood beside her, adding, and continuous monitoring of resonance patterns. We've designed a simple detection system that uses basic wave mechanics. No quantum technology required. First Speaker Axiom 9 moved forward, his chrome surface now polished to a mirror shine. Sarah had pointed out some oxidation during their work together. The Council has reviewed your recommendations. While some members find them primitive, none can argue with the results. The collective mind's representative pulsed in agreement. We have existed for millennia, advancing our technology and complexity to heights we thought unattainable. Yet we nearly destroyed ourselves through negligence of basic principles. Sometimes the most advanced civilizations forget the fundamentals, Sarah said, patting her trusty toolbox. It's not about having the most complex solution. It's about having the right solution. Kara 89, whose role in bringing humans into the crisis had earned her a promotion to senior observer, moved to the center of the chamber. The Council has reached a unanimous decision. We would like to establish a permanent exchange program with Earth. James blinked in surprise. Exchange program? Yes, Kara 89's crystalline form sparkled with enthusiasm. We will send our scientists to learn your practical approaches, and in return, we can share our advanced theoretical knowledge. But more importantly, First Speaker Axiom 9 added, we wish to establish a new division within the Galactic Council itself, the Department of Practical Solutions. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. You want us to run it? Not exactly. The collective mind responded. We want you to teach us how to run it. Your species has a unique gift for finding simple solutions to complex problems. This gift must be understood and preserved. James laughed. You want to study how humans solve problems. Your methods are unpredictable. First Speaker Axiom 9 admitted. You combine theoretical knowledge with practical experience in ways our logical systems would never consider. You find patterns in chaos, solutions in accidents, and possibilities in mistakes. Humans, Kara 89 added, have shown us that advancement doesn't always mean adding complexity. Sometimes it means remembering the basics. Sarah looked around the chamber, at the most advanced beings in the galaxy asking to learn from humans about fixing things. Well, she said, first lesson, always keep your tools organized. Speaking of which, she reached into her toolbox and pulled out a roll of duct tape, tossing it to First Speaker Axiom 9. The mechanical being caught it with surprising reverence. What is the proper application of this primitive bonding material? He asked. That, Sarah grinned, is going to be a very long lesson. Later, as they prepared for their return journey to Earth, James turned to Sarah. You know what's funny? We just saved the galaxy with maintenance protocols and basic physics. And duct tape, Sarah added. Don't forget the duct tape. Do you think they'll actually implement all those maintenance schedules? Sarah smiled, watching through a viewport as alien maintenance crews performed their first scheduled inspection of the Council facility. They'd better. I left copies of my inspection checklists in every system, and I expect detailed reports. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, James mused, learning to check for leaks and tighten bolts. Sometimes, Sarah said, packing away her tools for the journey home, the biggest achievements in history aren't about making things more complex. They're about remembering to do the simple things right. As their ship broke orbit from the Council world, they could see the changes already beginning. Maintenance crews were visible on every major structure, their simple mechanical tools a sharp contrast to the advanced technology surrounding them. The galaxy's most sophisticated civilizations were learning that progress didn't always mean moving forward. Sometimes it meant going back to basics. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, A roll of duct tape sat in a place of honor in the first speaker's chamber, a humble reminder that the simplest solutions were often the best ones. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was probably a good thing.